So, Leiria, a continent with some human cities, a fake kingdom to the north who has closed their border, and a mythical land to the south. It all started with a Sharpened Axe, one of my all-time favorite young adult romantasy books. Set in Leiria, this is a land we weren't supposed to visit ever again. At least that's what its author Jill Beene told us when we got the pleasure of interviewing her. So who would have thought that from what was meant as a standalone, a whole universe would be waiting just to happen? Join me while we explore Leiria, this enchanting world courtesy of Jill Beene. But before we continue, help me make more episodes. How? Buy me a coffee to support my small channel. Let's keep the book talk going. So, Leiria, a continent with some human cities unified in an empire, a fake kingdom to the north who has closed their border, and a mythical land to the south. Once a nation of fertility, trade, and prosperity became one day a picture of famine, hardship, and destruction. Why? According to whispers, a fake princess who had remained in Leiria wanted to seduce the crown prince and rule the land. After his refusal, she cursed them, wiping the magic that allowed their different territories to flourish. It was said the princess was killed to try to lift it. Alive or dead, though, the curse remained. Every year, a group of women, the chosen, were summoned to the capital of Taimara to try to fall in love with the crown prince. After a period of courtship, he would eventually choose the one. If her feelings were true, the curse would be lifted. But if not, she would face a terrible death. Year after year, this went on. It seemed true love was hard to find, and no matter what alternative solutions the prince tried, he couldn't bend the rules and end the suffering. Years later, in the province of Cthulhu, down an overgrown, nearly forgotten lane was a scroll iron gate. Beyond the gate was a sprawling stone manor. It was the turn of Samiris. For the first time, they included women from the poorest territories of the south of the capital. A young woman with noble blood was now a hard-working lady, expert with the axe, and the one in charge of feeding her family. They lived in this once impressive manor. However, due to the curse, jobs were scarce and famine abounded. They weren't the exception. On top of that, her father was sick, and if something were to happen to him, she wouldn't be able to inherit the house for the simple fact of being a woman. The only solution to bend this law was to get married, something that didn't exactly entice this independent, formidable lady. So imagine when she finds out she is one of the chosen. Not only she's worried about the future of her family, of who will take care of her father and sister now that she would have to leave, but also she must face the cruel reality that she might die. The cherry on top, the contrast of what used to be her daily hardships against the opulence and frivolity of the court. Being the sassy, rebellious type, she'll defy convention every step of the way, to the chagrin of Captain Trego, captain of the Royal Guard and the second most powerful man in the kingdom, also a very sought-after bachelor. Samiris will try to become a proper lady, learning etiquette, ball dancing, and dressing in very awkward mantles of fabric with impossible heavy headpieces. But as resourceful as she is, she will find ways to help appease her conscience and spark the flame of change. When the ominous day finally arrives, though, will this year's lady become another portrait of remembrance, or will they get a chance at righting the wrongs? If love is the curse, can it also be the disease? In this book, you'll find the perfect combination of action, intrigue, romantic tension, and magic. Samiris and Artem's interactions are so much fun. Moreover, she's a badass character, and she's not alone. The characters around her all contribute to their story in their own way. In fact, it is so that from what the author told us, readers wanted to know what happened with some of those secondary characters. I read a couple of reviews. I wanted to find out what happened too. And this is how an interconnected standalone series was given birth: The Weapons of Leiria, now constituted by a sharpened axe, a bone dagger, and a drum bow. Let's talk about these two other books. Even though you can read them as standalones, they are connected to a sharpened axe. For instance, you'll meet their main characters in this first book. So if you don't read it, you might miss some details to how their personal stories began and why they are where they are now. In A Bone Dagger, you'll follow the story of Sira and Fitz. Sira was born in the southern ways, among the Omani. This tribe is ruled by men under archaic beliefs. Therefore, women don't have voice, void, or much relevance, besides marrying and breeding. After she was appointed as the chosen in the same batch as Samiris, her elders assigned her the task of lifting Leira's curse. Unsuccessful, the crown prince sent her to a royal property in the coastal city of Brisel, aware that if she were to go back to the Omani, she would be punished for her supposed failure. Sometime after Leira undergoes important changes, Fitz arrives at the same property, now under his ownership, a gift from the Emperor. Fitz is a scientist. He's set to repurpose the basement as his new laboratory. Meanwhile, he's determined to befriend Syrah, who has a hard time accepting Fitz's genuine intentions. You see, in her mind, they are enemies in a way. She hurt him in the past, so reasonably, he should resent her. Nevertheless, this geeky scientist is all sweetness, grace, and cheerfulness. Nothing a smile and a chocolate cake can fix. Soon after their reunion, he convinces her to become his assistant to repay him for past grievances. But unbeknownst to them, they're in possession of a great source of power, and soon they'll gain new powerful enemies who want them dead. How can they survive? Hide or run away? Not a chance unless they want to be responsible for the destruction of all of Leiria. An unexpected neighbor will give them some hints and tools to embark on a perilous adventure. They must travel to the mythical Sol Sheer mountain range, where beyond lies the lost fake kingdom of Aris. According to recording history, this kingdom is no more than a legend. However, there are accounts of people going missing after attempting to travel that far south. So guided by a very perceptive and peculiar donkey, they'll travel through desert, rivers, and hills, looking for a magical place where they can get rid of the power they carry. They'll face immense and scary fantastical beasts, while being chased by a group of powerful and cruel fae. Meanwhile, from one geeky brain to another curious one, a scientific reaction will emerge. Will they survive the journey to spend a future together? Bone Dagger is a sweet story. It reveals the generosity of second chances. You have, on one hand, a character who is resentful because life hasn't shown her anything good. On the other hand, you have a big heart set to show Syrah the beauty of life. The typical opposites attract. Expect a slow pace. This is not Samiris barging in with an axe to save the day. These are two curious minds using their wits to overcome obstacles. So, the story evolves in an organic way, without much tension or anticipation, but true to the characters' personalities. And what about the last book in this interconnected trilogy? In A Sharpened Axe, you meet Lord Kingsley, because there's no story involving nobility without a Casanova, right? After years in Termara, Kingsley is back home. His parents live near Brisel, the protagonist city in the previous book. In order to be their heir, he must prove he's grown up. How? First, he must marry soon. Second, he must transform an abandoned manor into a profitable land. A fortuitous encounter with someone from his past might be the solution to half of his problems. Enter fake engagement.
And action!
Evel is struggling to maintain the farm where she lives with her brother. Sometimes she doesn't even have money to put food on their table. Desperate circumstances lead to desperate measures. A disguise, a secret past, and a handsome rich noble could be the answer to her prayers. After all roads lead to Rome, don't you agree? What happens when you let vulnerability speak for you, bare your hearts and truths? Rejection, maybe? Or you can fall in the safety net of love. Fun banter, sassy characters, mischief, that's what you'll get with these two. Will their dark past destroy their future or heal their wounds? I'm sure Kingsley is a crowd favorite. His irreverence and charm will captivate you. However, note that this book doesn't contain any fantastical elements. It's a pure classic romance. So, as you can see, this series Weapons of Leiria takes us in a journey from north to south and throughout. We explore multiple human cities, we go through hills, desert, and sea. And we even get some glimpses of the mysterious fake creatures abounding their borders. Now, let's take a closer look to this map because there are places we haven't mentioned yet. And that is because we aren't done with the Leiria universe. 1,000 years before the events of A Sharpened Axe, Leiria had a different political distribution. What is now a unified human empire was then independent human kingdoms within the continent of Leiria, plus the already known Fey Kingdom to the north and the secreted Kingdom of Aris to the south. These human kingdoms were Talum, Chacane, and Catuul. And among these kingdoms is where the story continues with the Battle for Leiria series, comprised of 3 books, a poison vial, an edged sword, and a heavy hammer. The Battle for Leiria trilogy was written in response to several books I'd read, where the female main character falls in love with an enemy but doesn't realize it at first. Then, even when he betrays her, often in terrible, irrevocable ways, she still loves him. That didn't resonate with me. So, I started thinking about a character who fell in love, only to realize that the man she loved was evil. It expanded from there, obviously, but that was the initial what if. What if you take the Plated Prisoner series, remove the spies, and change the magical creatures with humans? You get a sense of how this Jill Beane's latest series will unfold. Going back to Leiria's map, close to the northern Fey settlement, you reach the cold mountainous and snow-covered lands of Talum. Here, among the pines, hot springs, and castle walls, you'll find Ari, the youngest and only princess of the Agdai royal family. Bored to tears and with a heart ravenous for adventure, she dreams of finding a husband from abroad. But there are growing dangers outside the castle Porcules, dangers she's too young to understand. Lured by a handsome foreigner face, she'll soon accept his challenge and leave all she's known behind. After days travel and under excruciating heat, she crosses the desert lands of his new beloved kingdom of Chacane. Settled now in its capital of Toimara, it's time to put her future queen capabilities at work. However, what she sees, the reaction of the people, and her king's actions are baffling. Blind to the truth of her new reality, she continues fantasizing with a picture-perfect future. When one is ready to open one's eyes, though, the cracks won't hold the mirror intact. Soon, her dreams will shatter, her nostalgia a constant affliction. She has 2 options, run and hide, or stay unconquered. The thing is, war is looming between the kingdoms of Chacane and Catuul. A local rebellion is ignited in the former, and the fate of all of Leiria is hanging in the balance. There are few she can trust, but alone she's not. Let's hope Ari finds the will and wisdom to grow and flourish to become a key participant for a brighter future of the continent. So, how is it to read this new and first full trilogy of Jill Beene? She warns it will start slow. For me, the beginning didn't feel that way. In fact, funny thing, I actually felt it started getting slow action-wise after Ari figures some important things out, when she's diagramming a way to remove her obstacles. We stay in that unknown impossible road for some time. So in my opinion, you'll experience the best intrigue, tension, and action in the series once you reach 40% of the second book and then onwards. In terms of characters, Ari grows a lot throughout the books. Her path seemed a one-person road though, even when she wasn't alone. She meets allies along the way, but they don't seem to have many ideas on how to help her against Leiria's enemies. Although they do complain a lot when she comes up with her risky plans. All bark, no bite, these people. Thankfully, she barks and bites for all of them combined. That said, all these characters will have key roles in the plot, sometimes even appearing more than Ari herself. Moving to the setting, we venture deeper into the continent. No fake kingdoms, no fantastical creatures, no magic this time. And sure, this might be a bit confusing as in a Sharpened Axe and then in a Bone Dagger, both set in the same world, we got these Romantasy elements. Again, in the last book of Weapons of Leiria series, Kingsley's story, there wasn't any fantastical touch either, so it's a mix. I would suggest moving forward to embed every single book into the same genre, to keep it clear. Nevertheless, I still enjoy reading Battle for Leiria, even if I would classify it more as a romantic series. What's next? Jill Beene has some cookies in the oven, including a 4-book fantasy series, so if her style is right up your alley, stay tuned or connect with her through her website, link below of course. She promises that if we like Samiris, my favorite character in the Leiria universe, by the way, we'll love the next protagonist as well. Can't wait! As for me, I do have a personal ask. Can we have a series that closes the timeline gap between Battle for Leiria and Weapons of Leiria series? It would be so amazing to know what happened in those 1,000 years in between. Why the fate closed their borders? How was it when they once traded and mingled with the humans? Etc. All in all, in this whole universe, A Sharpened Axe continues to be my favorite book. Its characters, its magic, its romance, the most thrilling. But I still have some bones to pick in Lyra. Stories and events I would like to see. So if the author permits, maybe I find a new favorite in the future. Who knows? Don't live without checking this summer of Jill Spin's latest metaverse. Hope you enjoyed this adventure. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
And the whole world is listening now. And the whole world is listening.